2021, perfect time for the Corner of Craft podcast. So grab your beverage and let's go. My tea is too hot. A huge thank you to SkillShare for being the sponsor of this podcast, but more about that lovely company in a little bit. I just want to catch up first, see how you're all getting on. If you haven't watched Vlogmas, I won't have seen you since maybe September. I know. And you might be a little confused. Hannah, why are you in a roof? Well, I will tell you why I'm in a roof. I was going to pick a random name out of the sky, but I couldn't think of one quickly enough. I've moved house. Mario and I bought a house in October. Well, we moved in October. We've been going through the process of buying the house since the end of June. Who knew buying a house would take so long? And I'm in my new office space, which is the roof. Well, it's a converted loft space, but we don't think whoever converted the loft space, they didn't meet various regulations that need to be met. So it's not allowed to be a bedroom. And also these ceilings are so low, I wouldn't want it to be a bedroom. But I haven't worked out the perfect place to film. I don't think this is it. This lighting situation, not ideal. We have a bag of mail sacks in the background and you can't even see my stash. So what's the point? But yeah, we're embracing it for now. For now, this is what we have. So yes, Happy New Year to you all. Oh gosh, I do apologise. I'm out of practice. I hope that you're all well, that you had a lovely festive season. And if you don't celebrate, I hope you had a fab, well, honestly, October to December. 2020 didn't really turn out to be the year any of us expected, when in January last year I was getting excited about going on my honeymoon to Japan, and also had booked my flight to Rhinebeck for the October. It was going to be a great 30th birthday present to myself. It worked out well, didn't it? I bought myself a wall planner and planned nothing on it, so I have another one for this year. And hope that we're going to plan something on it. Although, judging by the way that things are going in the UK at the moment, I'm not going anywhere for quite a while. But that's enough about that. I've accumulated some of the things that I have finished and worked on over the past few months. Some of them I've gifted. Some you would have already seen in Vlogmas. Those were the ones that I gifted. So feel free to check that out. I think it's probably episode like Vlogmas number 23. I think I finished stuff off. Thank you everyone for watching Vlogmas, if you did, and for all of your support through that. I had a few quite rough days during Vlogmas, but Mario's just gone back to work today after having a lovely 10 days off. So yeah, we had a great time together just in the house because we can't go anywhere else. My sister came around for Christmas. That was really lovely. And yeah, we just had a chilled Christmas in Nottingham because we couldn't really travel anywhere, couldn't really see anyone else. And now we're in tier 4 of restrictions, which means, hey, you can't do anything. But you know, it's still not slowing down the rate of spread, which is worse than it was in April. Fun. I'm never going anywhere. So, yes, I just want to, before I leap into anything, say that I actually want to start doing vlogs more through the week, because all of you enjoyed not all of you. The ones that I heard feedback from, feedback was what I was going to say, enjoyed Vlogmas, and yeah, I really enjoyed doing them, so I want to start doing little studio vlog type things. Plus I enjoy watching studio vlog type things. No, I haven't found my hair dye. I've also stopped looking for it. Yeah, a little studio vlog type thing. So I'm going to aim for 3 videos a week. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we shall see. Fingers crossed. Just some general vlogginess. So you can see how I run my business. I have a dye shed in this new house that I need to kit out. So I will be having a dye shed Diaries, Chronicles series coming up on the YouTube. Thank you to everyone who throughout December donated to my coffee account. That was very helpful. Thank you so much. We are over, I think we're almost 3/4 of the way to the goal for the die shed. I mean, honestly, it was just kind of a number that I plucked out of the air. I think it's going to be way more than that, but I haven't done a whole lot of research into that yet. So thank you to everyone who did donate to the coffee account. It's very much appreciated and is still up in my description box if you're interested. If you'd like to follow me on social media, please feel free. Links are always in the description box below, along with the podcast notes, which can be found on my website in blog post form, so then they're accessible to everyone. I try to link to designers' Instagram pages if I can't quickly see that they aren't on designs aren't on Ravelry. If not, I will link to Payhip or wherever else other people, as more people come off Ravelry or offer designs in places other than Ravelry, I suppose I should say, then it'll be easier for me to navigate. But we do have a few finished objects. We have a couple works in progress, not too many, but before we get into that, a quick word about our sponsor, SkillShare. SkillShare is a fantastic online learning community for those who are of the creative persuasion. They have thousands of classes on their website, ranging from video and photography all the way to crafts and sewing and illustration. Whether you just want to improve on the skills you have or learn something completely new, there are classes to suit you, and you can even filter them by difficulty. So if you're a beginner or an intermediate or an expert, there's something there for you. There's loads of classes on knitting. I've had a few comments from people saying that they want to learn new knitting techniques, such as brioche or cables or colour work. And there are even videos that walk you through whole entire projects, like knitting your first pair of socks. So, well, that's great. Being a person who runs her business online, I'm always looking for new marketing tips, and there's a great range of videos on there. The class that I'm currently following, it's Social Media Marketing by Kat Coquillette, and it's super interesting and has some really great tips that I have picked up and will definitely be implementing into my future social media marketing. And as someone who thrives off feedback, and I don't get it every day in my job because I am my own boss, there are assignments set by the classes, and you can submit work and get feedback on them, which I think is great. Because the site is made just for learning, none of the classes are interrupted by ads, and there are always new classes available and even live workshops and classes. It costs just under $10 a month, or around £7.50 if you go for the annual subscription, and I think that's a pretty sweet deal. You could do so much learning in that time. The first 1,000 of you to click the link in the description box will get a free trial of Skillshare's premium membership. Thank you so much to Skillshare once again for sponsoring this video, and back to the podcast. Anyway, so the tea I'm drinking today is actually Yorkshire tea biscuit brew, because I have some more of it. Thank you to Kay for gifting me some boxes of tea, and also my sister gave me a box. We've already got through one of them, and now there's lipstick all over my mug, which means it's not on my mouth anymore. So finished objects, let's get into that, shall we? I've just kind of shoved them in a bag because they're all downstairs all over the place. So first up, I finished these before we moved, and he hasn't even worn them. Mario's Hendo socks, sorry, Sheffield Relish, Henderson's Relish socks that I made for Mario, because he is a boy from Sheffield and I had never heard of Henderson's Relish before meeting him. So yes, these are Hendo's socks. This was the Wool Monty colourway, and by Peak District Yarns. So I obviously had to get some and make them for Mary. They have pooled substantially. My mum is also knitting my sister's partner a pair of Hendo socks, but it's a very different gauge because he's a taller lad than Mario is, and she's getting stripes, which I think looks nice. But they're socks. He's not going to complain about it, although he hasn't worn them, so maybe he hates them. But I don't think he should. And they're the perfect colour for the bottle of for a bottle of Hendo's Relish. So these were, I don't know how many stitches, 72 stitches, knit on a 2.5mm needle. I do know these things. And I knit 2x2 rib for the cuff, and then I knit 3x1 for the body. I actually did an Eye of Partridge heel flap and gusset for the first time in ages. I don't know why. I have a feeling my mum talked me into it. It was at the point in the summer where we were told we could visit people. Hindsight, possibly shouldn't have done, but also didn't know there was a new strain of the virus. Well, that was September, that apparently was first known about, but I didn't know about it. So yeah, it was at some point when we went to visit my parent is what I was going to say. Sounded like I was going to say parrot. I have never owned a parrot, but I did live with someone who owned budgies for a year. Hi Matt, still talk to him. The budgies were annoying though. Yeah, heel flap and gusset, haven't done one of those in a while. Remember why I don't like them. Also, Mario has big feet, so that was really annoying. Have to knit so much of a sock, but finished. I think I finished them, I can't remember when. I checked my podcast notes and they said these were still a whip. They're no longer a whip, they are finished. Okay, maybe if I just put them in Mario's sock drawer, he'll actually wear them. We'll see. Okay, while we're on things that I knitted for Mario, I also knit Mario a hat. I was knitting this through Vlogmas. There was a bit of controversy about the wool. It wasn't controversy at all, but it's Rowan yak, soft yak DK, and I bought it because I got excited because Mario really wanted a really warm hat, and I know that yak is warm. But what I didn't know is this is mainly cotton, but he has worn it a few times since and he has said that it's warm, although he hasn't taken it to work today, so he probably didn't know where it was, in all fairness. And good for me, because it means, yeah. So this is the hipster hat pattern. Just an awful lot of 2x2 rib. And it's a pattern by Petite Knit. I don't think this suits me. We'll leave it to him to wear. And yeah, the colour was driftwood, I believe. But it hasn't been blocked. Don't judge my knitting. It wasn't finished on Christmas Day. I gifted it to him in the project bag. It still had the needles in. I finished it later that day. But yeah, I just ran out of time because I was knitting presents for too many other people. But yes, he does seem to enjoy it. So he says it slides off his head quite a lot, but I think as he wears it more and more and it gets a little bit stretched out, I think that will be fine. Also blocking it will probably help. I do like the decreases, but it is a lot of 2x2 rib. But it's a really nice thick band, so it covers his ears so his ears don't get cold. He's precious. Okay, the next thing I have knit that I've not sent off to anyone yet. I need to find my phone because I need to look up who this pattern is by. So I'm of the age where various friends seem to be having babies. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more babies being born around this time of year, which is another reason it's bad that the hospitals are so full. But you know, quarantine babies. Anyway, we won't go into it. But I have made this adorable jumpsuit. It's got a hood. This is the Alize A-L-I-Z-E jumpsuit by Knits by Jenny, or Jenny Amshen, I believe. I have knit this out of a ball of Aran weight wool from Aldi, which I believe is like 80% acrylic, 20% wool or something. It's got these fun buttons on, and yeah, it's a really cute thing. I need to gift it to them, but I didn't want to send, I finished it close to Christmas, and then I didn't want to send it because one, I wanted to show it on the podcast because I'm selfish. Two, I didn't want it to get lost in the post. It's still cold and I'm sure it will still fit them because it's pretty big. well, it doesn't look that big now. Now I'm concerned. I should have sent it already. But I will send it this week. But super cute, no? It's got nice big chunky buttons. And I'm thinking of knitting another one of these for someone else who's having a baby soon. But instead of knitting the whole playsuit, just like chopping the legs off and just having it as like a jacket or a cardi. And this is covered in my hair. I'm molting so much because I brushed my hair just for the podcast because I washed it this morning. It was a frizzy mess. I mean, arguably it's still a frizzy mess, but you know, just... I don't know if I've got wavy hair and I just don't know what to do with it, or my hair is just frizzy. I don't know. The day I wash it, it always dries and looks really nice, and then the next day I'm just like, my hair is gross. I don't know what to do with it. Shave it off. Anyway, this, cute. It's got a fun cable running down it. It's got garter stitch sleeve and doodad. Little cuffies. Little garter stitch hood, quite a big garter stitch hood actually. Also I did the hood decreases, increases, decreases in the wrong place. That's slightly askew, but it's a baby hoodie. I think my stitch count was off. And yeah, so now I can wrap this up and get it sent out because cute. The final finished thing that I have is something that I had cast, or that I was knitting through the last podcast, but I just kind of shoved it in its project bag and it was just sat up here in one of these boxes, and I just didn't really touch any of my whips for a little bit. Essentially bead weaving took over my life, and I am fully expecting it to take over my life once again because I'm having a shop update at the end of the month and currently have nothing made for it. So yeah, I'm preparing the hands for the calluses to return. But until then, so lovely. Am I all about that brioche shawl is finished? I say finished. The ends aren't woven in, which is a rare thing for me because I love weaving in ends. And it's not blocked. But this is way bigger than the first one I knit. Way bigger. So this is a design by Lisa Hannes. I believe that's how you pronounce her name because I'm pretty sure she's German. And yeah, I have knit this out of the grey is Dragon Horde yarn Come Alive. That was part of her Greatest Showman colourway. It's really fun. I love it. And then the purple colourway is Yarn Cafe Creations in Gothic. And these were both gifted to me at Edinburgh Yarn Festival 2019. Obviously not 2020, it didn't happen, but yeah, I'm gonna get makeup all over this now. I found that the shawls that I wear the most are triangular. The shawl that I'm living in is If I Want Exposure I'll Get My Tits Out shawl by, I can't remember, but it's knit out of Das Monscharf yarn. But I live in that shawl because it's just so easy to fling on. But this is also easy to fling on. So a symmetrical triangular shawl I think is my jam. Because I just find them really easy to wear. It still needs blocking. Blocking will make it way better. But I think this is a really good first brioche pattern. This is the second time I have knit this. The first time I knit this, that was my first time knitting brioche. I hadn't knit brioche in a really long time before casting this one on again, and I did put in a lifeline. I didn't need it though, and even though I put it away for ages, I left in a little stitch marker indicating where the increase row was, so I was able to count and find out what row I was on. Oh, past me is so smart. But yeah, I love that you can either have it this way around with the stripes contrasting, or have it this way around and have it matchy matchy. That window is going to get more wick, isn't it? But yeah, these colours go so beautifully together, and apparently it wasn't even planned, so clearly I have an aesthetic. I'm alright with it. We'll embrace the aesthetic. But yeah, all about that brioche shawl. I can block it now. I was going to block it and then I thought, it's not going to be dry for the podcast. I wanted to have it finished before midnight on the 31st. I did not. I started the cast off at about 11:45 p.m. on the 31st, and then midnight hit. We'd shouted a Happy New Year in each other's faces, just Mario and I, and then immediately went to bed and went to sleep because we were tired, because that is what it's like now I've turned 30. Oh, bit sad news for you all, for those who aren't on Instagram and haven't watched the Vlogmas. Our geriatric goldfish, Sophie, has sadly passed away. She passed away at the end of November, I believe, towards the end of November. I called her the geriatric goldfish because she was about 18 years old, which is pretty old. But not the oldest goldfish in the world, which is apparently 80. But yeah, I was chatting to her all day, and then I looked over to her tank and she was just floating on her side staring at me. It was a little jarring and quite sad, but rest in peace, Sophie, you will be missed. Now we just need to get a cat or two. But all about that brioche shawl by Lisa Hanna's. I believe I used the needle size that it recommended, and I think it's a 3.5 millimeter needle for the body of the shawl. Then I went down to 3.25 for the brioche, which is what I did on my last shawl, the first one that I did of this. But the first one I did of this is so much smaller than this one, so my knitting must have loosened up a little bit, because this is a more accurate size of to what I was expecting when I knit the shawl. Okay, so that's actually it for finished things. We are finished with the finished things. I'm going to take a sip of tea and then we'll move on to things. Works in progress. I completely forgot to mention that some of the finished things that I finished through Vlogmas were tiny jumpers. I knit tiny jumps out of my advent calendar, but I still have 4 days left to make because I still haven't knit these 4 days of Advents. So who knows if they'll ever get done. They will one day, probably in the middle of the summer. Then I think I want to make them into a garland and maybe hang them across there, opposite where you can't see. Just because I think it'll be fun. Yeah, this office space still has a lot of work that needs doing to it. I did some sorting out during Vlogmas, but there are still some boxes everywhere, and yeah. Okay, whips. So, living in the little grey girl project bag, donut bag, with my Jester Lavore pin on it, is my Telegram cardie. I don't know why I sounded so forlorn. I think it's because I cast this on, I'm pretty sure, in February. I'm still knitting it, and it's the next January. But yeah, this was another one that kind of went in a project bag just in the conservatory when we moved in amongst boxes. But I got it out, and actually the last time you saw it I was here. I put a little teacup stitch marker, Progress Keeper, and so I've knit the body, I knit the thing, I learned how to do a tubular cast off, I know, and then on a few days ago I was about here on the sleeve, and that's when I took it out of the project bag and I knit a full sleeve. And being the gorilla armed behemoth that I am, maybe behemoth is the wrong word, but gorilla armed is accurate. I usually have to knit an extra 1.5 to 2 inches on top of what jumper patterns recommend. I'm not even that tall, and I thought with it being Becky's pattern, this is a pattern by Becky Sorensen, I thought with it being Becky's pattern, and Becky I'm pretty sure is taller than me, I wouldn't have to add any extra length because, you know, from fingertip to fingertip is your height. So I thought that I'd be safe, but I wasn't safe. So I'm not quite sure. So gorilla arms. But yes, this is a Telegram cardigan by Soprano Knits. That's what I was going to call her, Becky Sorensen. And she's my best friend and love of my life. She designed this beautiful cardigan that's got a really fun cable running down the underside of the sleeve and also down the side of the body. Which just makes doing the sleeves so much more interesting. It's a broken rib all over, which creates beautiful texture. And yeah, I have cast on sleeve numero dos. I did that yesterday. because I finished casting off the sleeve Saturday maybe? I can't remember. But yeah, I still got the button band to do, but it's really fun. This yarn I am using is, I'm knit so much of my hair into this, oh my goodness. It's Chromatic Yarns, which is my own hand-dyed yarn company in a Highland wool base that I don't stock, but have. Basically, I bought it to dye up and knit this cardigan because I wanted to see what it's like dyeing non-superwash wool, not unsuperwash. Difficult was what I found out. Took way more dye. But this is in my Moonbeam colourway, which is just a really nice tonal pale silvery grey. Because yeah, Becky specialises in non-superwash wools, in using them in her designs. So I tried to give a bit of a nod to that in my wool choice for this. But it's so nice. And I think it's going to get an awful lot of wear. I have tried it on. I mean, I can't right now because I'm in a jumper. But I have tried it on and yeah, I think it's going to get a lot of wear. Even with the amount of extra pounds I'm currently carrying since casting this on. It still fits me. Thank God for rib, it's stretchy. But yeah, I'm using 3.75 needles for the body, and then the cuffs I'm using 3mm needles. Because Becky's quite a loose knitter in comparison to me. I used to be a much tighter knitter though, so I mean, I still swatch, obviously, but my general rule for Becky's knitting patterns is that I personally have to go up 2 needle sizes on top of what she suggests for herself. There's no science to it. It's just through the years I've done various test knitting for her and just knit many of her projects. The first project of hers, pattern of hers that I knit, I didn't change the needle size and came out with a very tiny shawl. It was very early on in my knitting days, but I mean I still wore that shawl an awful lot. But yes, so always swatch regardless, but from what I have found, that's what I have to do to convert my knitting to match hers. But don't just go off that, please swatch patterns, because I somehow picked up 2 extra stitches for the sleeve, so I've got a bit of sharp decreasing happening, but it's in the back, so it's under the arm. If somebody's going to be looking that closely, they're just too close to you. But yeah, this is fun, and I really enjoy the cable. I will say, once I've decreased more stitches, the sleeve will be even more fun, because it will go even quicker. But the first little bit of the sleeve I found to be a bit of a slog yesterday, but I think it's only because I've already finished one. I don't know. But yes, I'm excited to finish this and block this and see how much, see if the wool changes at all. I mean, I'm still going to be fine wearing it, but just out of curiosity. I'm not looking forward to picking up the button band because I don't particularly enjoy picking up button bands, but hey, it's not an impossibility, and it's like there are worse things in the world. But I did learn how to do a tubular cast off, and whoever discovered it is a genius. So clever. So clever. Beautiful. Oh, is there a bird on the roof? So my next work in progress is something you have seen, but I've barely touched. And that is my birthday socks. It was my birthday in September, and I cast on a pair of socks on my birthday using Yarn Badger's birthday cake yarn, because it was perfect. And I've barely touched it since. This is still the first sock. I think once I've done the toe, the second one will speed along because I can just cast it on and go. I'm going to be doing an afterthought heel. But it's just beautiful. I'm using 2.25, she says, with no confidence at all. 2.25mm needles, which means it must be 64 stitches. I did 2x2 rib at the top for an undetermined amount of rows, and then I'm just knitting a tube, and then I'll probably do, not probably, I definitely will do Kirby Werby's afterthought heel method. And yeah, I had to wind this by hand because it was when my ball winder broke and I didn't have a replacement one, but I do now have a replacement one, which makes caking things up so much easier. But I do love this colourway, and I mean, these are a more spring appropriate sock anyway, so it's not the end of the world, but I do kind of want to get them done because they've been on the needles for too long. She says with a cardie that's been on the needles, she thinks, since February. Oh, and this project bag was gifted to me by the lovely Bernadette of the Coffee and Craft podcast. And it's Van Gogh's Exploding TARDIS, which it's one of my most used sock project bags, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. I didn't mean to shout at you, I apologise. Oh hey, it's Editing Hannah here. So on Tuesday I spontaneously decided to start running a cow. Very spontaneously, and I had already recorded the whole of this podcast. So, just to let you know, I am going to be hosting, or I am hosting, the Lockdown Sockdown Cow, which is knit socks during lockdown. There's no official way to enter. Just post your pictures on Instagram using hashtag Lockdown Sockdown Cow. And yeah, feel free to check out my vlog from Wednesday if you want a bit more info about it. Or I'll talk about it more in my vlog on Monday. But yeah, knit some socks, share the pictures. Okay, you've had enough of looking at this thumbnail now. So next up in my Busy Bees bag, which is Dungeons and Dragons themed. This was gifted to me over Vlogmas, and thank you so much. I love it. It's amazing. It's got dice on it. Yes. Anyway, living in this bag is my project that I cast on yesterday, because yes, I did cast on something just so I had something new to talk about on the podcast. I have become that person. Do not judge. Feel free. I cast on Le Meilleur. Le Meilleur. I have a degree in French. Le Meilleur. Le Meilleur. M-O-E-L-L-E-U-X. Meilleur. By Mina, aka the Knitting Expat. And yeah, it's the squishy brioche shawl. I am knitting this out of Claire Nettleship yarns in two of her colourways, Charcoal and Unicorn Kisses. She was on the booth opposite me 2019, the Wool Monty, and this beautiful skein of Unicorn Kisses was just looking at me and waving at me and saying, "Gooey, hello." So I had to buy it, and then because I can't do dainty speckles, so I allowed myself a dainty speckled skein, and then to go with it I had to buy her charcoal as well. This is on her standard sock base, which is 75/25 so superwash merino and nylon, 425 meters per 100 G. Because there are little sort of either dark grey or black speckles in this one. You can't really see it now, it's caked up, but there are. And yeah, so we have a little yarn snowman. So I cast this on yesterday and knit it whilst watching the first episode of season 13 of RuPaul's Drag Race. I've watched RuPaul's Drag Race religiously ever since season 2. Before it was even streamed in the UK, and I used to watch it illegally online when that was a thing. I mean, it probably is still a thing, but I just don't do the thing. Mega Video, anyone remember that? Anyway, I used to watch it on Mega Video, and I really enjoy RuPaul's Drag Race, but the last few seasons, season 6 I feel like was the peak for me, and now we're on 13, and the first episode was just so repetitive and not enjoyable, and it was heartbreaking seeing those drag queens get crushed for losing a lip sync, and like again and again and again. And I get they probably had to split the contestants because of COVID, but like, do it out of a hat. Don't make everyone think that they got kicked off and now they have to vote some, I don't know. It's weird, and we'll see. But right now I don't want to watch episode 2, but I probably will, just because I kind of want to know what happens. But yeah, so I cast this on and knit this, and then realised that I missed off the decrease. I thought that I was like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing, I'll stop reading the pattern. And then I missed the decrease, which is like every 8th row or something. So then I had to rip it out completely and start again. But I have now added in the decrease, and it looks so much better. Yeah, I can't sit here anymore. I think I need to move and sit over there, and I could set up my grid wall behind me and put my yarn on it. That might be better, because this window's not doing it, because you can't really see it. So the grey is my main colour, the pink is the contrast. But with all brioche, it is reversible. The reason it doesn't have needles on it is because it uses the same size needles as my cardigan does, 3.75mm. So I kind of have to switch between the two. And I've only got it on a short cable at the minute because it's easier for shunting back and forth along the cable when it's on a short cable versus on a super long cable, which is what it was on. So I switched it to a shorter one. Yeah, I popped my little wizard dude on it. I have a feeling I kept this one because some of the beads are in it, I think, are the wrong colour. Like, you can't notice it in bad lighting, but I just noticed it just now. I think that's why I kept this dude, because like he was less than perfect. You can see the different beads in his robe. But yeah, this is one of my hand beaded stitch markers, one of my own designs. There's a little wand. He's just on there to help me keep track of when I need to do a decrease. And yeah, so far I am enjoying knitting it. Ask me when the rows get incredibly long, but after finishing the All About That Brioche shawl, I was like, I'm on a bit of a brioche kick. So yeah, decided to kick these up and knit these. Very nice. There's not a whole lot else to say about this other than it's brioche. Not just a sweet bread, but it is also a knitting stitch. So other than that, it's just shop news and life stuff. In shop news, I am hoping to, I've said I'm going to have a shop update on the 30th of January, which is a Saturday at 4 PM GMT UK time. Which means this week I need to make some stitch markers. So I will probably be doing that. If you have any requests, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Life news, we bought a house. I'm in it. There was an election in the US. This doesn't concern me immediately. We've left the EU since I last spoke to you, so if you are in the EU now, then you will probably be charged taxes. I'm very sorry. It's not my fault. If you buy from the UK. Customs is what I wanted to say. I'm very sorry. Not my fault. Didn't vote for it. And yeah. It's been Christmas and New Year. I don't know. Like, we've not been able to do anything, so we've been in tier 3 of lockdown since just after my sister's birthday, which is mid-October, because either on or around her birthday we met up and went for a walk and then sat in their back garden for a cup of tea. And then, like, shortly after that we weren't allowed to do that anymore, so you know, I haven't hung out with my sister much. So it was really nice for her to come around for Christmas. It was weird because her and her partner helped us move everything in, because you're allowed to have help moving in. And, but she hasn't been back since. So she was like, oh, you've got a table. Oh, you've got a fridge. I'm like, oh yeah, you haven't seen the inside of my house. This is weird. You live 10 minutes away. But hey, that's what you get for adhering to the rules. But yeah, other than that, it's just life's been happening. Marie's gonna have to go back into work at some ungodly hours tonight because the croissant dough didn't work. Baker's problems. so that's frustrating. But yeah, I'm thinking that I want to do a few vlogs a week. Thinking starting next week, because I didn't post a vlog on Monday, doing a Monday, Wednesday, Friday shtick. So we'll see how that goes. If it's too much, I'll cut down to 2 days a week, you know? But I managed to cope during Vlogmas, and I just need to get out of bed a little bit earlier to edit. That's easier said than done. I'm not an early riser. But yeah, and then I need to call a plumber about the dye shed and get the dye shed chronicles going. I need to dye up the yarn club and get the stitch markers made for that. Although by the time you're seeing this, I probably would have already hopefully done that, because I'm filming this in advance. But yes, that's it, let's be honest. I'm talking out on my feet now, and yeah, don't really have a whole lot else to say. Don't forget to click the top link in the description box below to grab your spot to get 2 weeks free trial to the SkillShare Premium membership. Learn something new or add to what you already know. But yeah, that's probably it. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with someone that you think would enjoy it. Much appreciated. Feel free to subscribe if you find my personality somewhat palatable. You can also turn on the notification bell so you can be notified every time that I post a video here on YouTube. Would be much appreciated. I kind of want my 2021 goal to hit 100,000 subscribers, but it's a really bold goal to have. So if I don't make it, that's also fine, but it's kind of a little goal that I'm setting. I better take some classes on how to grow your YouTube platform. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below. It's not the daily check-in anymore, but we still love to see it. It was the daily check-in during Vlogmas. So now it's the fortnightly check-in, the podcastly check-in. The check-in, we love to see it. Feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you're getting up to. What have you been knitting / crocheting / doing whilst watching this / listening to this podcast? Fill me in, keep me posted. I've missed talking to all of you since Vlogmas, so let's get a conversation going again. As I said in the beginning, if you'd like to follow me on social media, links can all be found in the description box below, along with any other relevant information that I think you might need, such as the link to the podcast notes. They're there. So, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I have loved spending this time with you, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye!